Good evening. I'm Mary Ann Hodell, and I have the pleasure of welcoming you this evening. I'm the director of the Orange County Library System. And it was about a year ago that we invited our friends at the University of Central Florida Library and our friends across the street at the Orange County Regional History Museum to come and talk about the possibilities of how we could make our collective collections that deal with Florida history come alive for people. And, we all met and we were a little bit hesitant at first, getting to know each other and each other's names and what we did at our respective institutions. And, then the barriers started coming down and we could do this and we could do this and we could do this. And the ideas just started flowing. And at the end of the meeting, I think everyone was feeling pretty fine about it. And I thought, well, not only is this going to be interesting, but also this is a really fun group of people to work with. So we all felt like we had found some new friends. And here we are, 1 year later, rolling out the Central Florida Memory Project. So I'm delighted to welcome you here, and I'm going to turn the microphone over to Joe Gillette from the History Museum to tell you about the history of the project and how we got started and some of the travails and challenges we faced. Joe?
Thank you. About a year ago, representatives from the Orlando Public Library convened a meeting comprised of representatives from what would become the project's three-member institutions, the library, the University of Central Florida, and the Orange County Regional History Center, to discuss the possibilities for a group project concerning the history of our region, with the end goal in mind of producing a digital collection available on the web that would showcase primary source materials from the collections of the three-member institutions. The group felt that such a project would be a wonderful opportunity to more widely disseminate the histories found in our various collections. In addition, we determined that providing a storyline to tie the various images together would provide a cohesiveness usually lacking in most digital collections. After considering several potential story ideas, the group decided to begin by focusing on Central Florida in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. Subsequent group meetings refined our storyline to what you'll find on the website currently and what you'll be introduced to here shortly. Once our storyline was decided upon, supporting primary source materials were pulled from the collections of the three institutions, digitized using technological resources at UCF, keyword tags attached to the scanned images, and those images inserted into web pages being concurrently constructed around the storyline previously determined. An education component was also deemed a valuable addition to the website, taking into account Orange County Public Schools' local history curriculum. What you're about to see here is the result of a year's worth of activity among the three institutions. Now that you have a little background on the project's history, I'd like to introduce UCF's Barry Baker, who will discuss the significant implications of the project. Barry.
Thanks, Joe. To the historian, the researcher, the genealogist, the implications really of Central Florida memory are very obvious. Greatly improved access to a wealth of important historical materials which will be available from someone's home or office. No parking problems, just quick and easy access. As you have heard, when we started this project about a year ago, we wanted to make available to everyone the history of Central Florida through important primary materials, such as travel diaries, letters, photographs, scrapbooks, maps, postcards, as well as books. Just common, everyday things which have quietly documented our history. We're making these wonderful documents available to school children, native Floridians, new Florida residents, and tourists alike, to tell the story of what life was like in Central Florida before air conditioning, theme parks, and the Space Center. This is the story of Central Florida in a way that can be shared and appreciated by everyone. Central Florida Memory interprets our past and creates a unique educational resource for teachers, aiding their efforts to instill in their students a sense of our history, our past, especially those fourth grade students who focus on Florida history. Through sophisticated and cutting-edge technology, Central Florida Memory collections will be available to virtually everyone via the internet, from school, library, home, or office. Documents can now be conveniently viewed online, which heretofore were only accessible to historians and researchers which were able to physically visit the institutions where the collections were stored. Anyone, anywhere in the world, will be able to visit our website to learn about Central Florida, to better understand what came before and what lies beyond the theme parks. New residents will have easy access to the rich history of their new homes, so they will have a greater appreciation of this place we call Central Florida. Just as importantly, Central Florida Memory demonstrates unparalleled cooperation between our three institutions, as you've heard, each having different missions and serving different primary clientele. Yet we came together and have produced, through close collaborative efforts, the result you will see today. And this is just the beginning, as we plan to broaden the scope of the project while providing more in-depth access to our collections. There are also implications for cooperation among those who tirelessly preserve and make accessible the rich historical resources of Central Florida, the museums, the historical societies, and the libraries in our area. They will be invited to become a part of Central Florida Memory. We're also looking forward to providing the opportunity for community citizens to participate in Central Florida Memory by sharing their personal and their family collections of photographs, letters, scrapbooks, and other unique materials. I would now like to introduce Greg Gronlund of the Orange County Library, who will demonstrate Central Florida Memory.
Lights. So, are you interested in Central Florida history? Of course you are. You would be here today. Thank you. How would you like to find letters? Such as this one, written in Orlando, Florida, February 12, 1893. My darling sweetheart, this has been a very, very busy week with me, the demand being very good for oranges. We shipped nearly 20 carloads, which should pay us at least $50 a car profit. It has kept me so occupied that I have not been able to start a letter to you before this. I have had 6 packing houses going all the week at full force, and no one but families with this business can tell how much thinking it demands of the head of such a work to keep it all going smoothly. But I have done it and am satisfied with the week's work and the condition things are in. That is from the ACPAN papers, 1892 to 1893, letters written from Arthur William Catesby Smith to his fiancée, Beatrice, about personal matters, citrus industry, property, and social events. Or how about this one, written in Narcoossee and Kissimmee in October 2nd, 1885.
My dear Mama, I got your letter yesterday. A cottage gardening book will be the very thing I expect that we want. I suppose you have heard that Herbert has got a very good thing in connection with Mr. Daniel. It is a kind of work much more suited to him than orange growing. He was here for 2 days last week, and I was astonished to see how very well he was looking, and also how his mustache had grown. It is quite a decent-looking one now, quite thick. Tom's tufts will have to retire to a back seat now.
That's from the Warner correspondence, 1885 to 1887, between Helen Warner, an English transplant to Central Florida, and her mother back in England. How would you like to find a diary? Such as this travel diary containing detailed observations of Central Florida nature. There's a great deal of scrub oak, not more oftentimes than 2 feet high, with acorns on. Also hickory trees about 3 inches diameter, some 15 feet high, with a nice crop of hickory nuts on them. The bark of this tree is smooth and light-colored. At Dr. Lyman's, I was shown by him the orange, lemon, grapefruit, and lime trees, also the camphor tree or bush, and another kind of guava with a glossy, smooth leaf. The fruit grows of this kind about as large as crab apples. He had several vines of the scuppernong grape. He says they grow from 1 to about 6 in a place, and as large where alone as 1 inch diameter. This diary even includes pressed leaves from the plants the traveler saw and gathered, and these too have been digitized, such as these leaves from a banana shrub. That's the diary of a young man's winter vacation in Florida in 1895 and 1896. How would you like to find postcards? Such as this one of a busy day in an orange grove in Florida. Oh, I wish I could see the other side of this postcard. Okay. Even with a message, with love and best wishes, and that you may have a happy Easter time, and remember the day to the dear children, hoping to be with you again, lovingly, Mother. And although the name is cut off over here on the website, you can scroll over, and this is signed Mrs. Lula Apley. How would you like to find pictures? Such as this one of orange pickers on tall ladders in the orange grove. Or an orange grove with a windmill irrigation system. And look at the clothes they're wearing. Or this set with these adorable kittens in the middle who are identified as the Campbells at home. And each home is identified from the top there. Let's see if I can do this. Residence of Robert Howe, the cottage of Judge Beeks, the Summerlin House, and this lovely residence is the jail. Or the flora and fauna of Central Florida, including a friendly and hopefully not too hungry alligator. And pictures of the people of Central Florida in all their ethnic diversity, such as Dr. Maddox or Tom Shepard. How would you like to find your ancestors in a city directory, all you genealogists out there? Such as here, where you'll see George A. Chappell, who works as a clerk at Held, Hawley & Blanchard, whose residence is on McDonald at the southeast corner of Center. Or Miss Cora Chase, a teacher who boards on the north side of Citrus Avenue on the 3rd block east of Grove. These found in the Orange County Gazetteer of 1887. For you teachers out there, how would you like to find teaching materials for 4th grade Florida history classrooms? Such as this lesson plan on freezes in Florida, designed for 4th and 5th grades, identifying the subject of social studies, indicating how it meets Sunshine State standards, and giving you some instructions, including how this lesson will help students understand the importance of climatic changes on the agricultural industry and the industry's importance to Florida's economy. How would you like to find more than 2,000 images from more than 65 documents of Central Florida history from the 1880s to the 1920s? Well, the Orange County Regional History Center, the University of Central Florida Libraries, and the Orange County Library System proudly present at cfm.lib.ucf.edu or at Central Florida Memory, the same website. Central Florida Memory. This is our homepage. Follow our path and listen to the stories of citrus, tourism, alligators, space, and more. Travel to the past with railroad maps, steamship tickets, postcards, photographs, letters, and diaries. Hear Helen Warner writing to her mother back home in England about the joys and trials of life in Winter Park in Narcoossee in 1885. Read about an alligator hunter in the making in 1909. "Give me a gun, quick, I seen a gator," cried Buddy as he tumbled down the companionway. Get to know Central Florida today, explore yesterday, and create a historic tomorrow. And here on our homepage, we've given you several methods for navigating through the site, and I'll kind of tour you through those. There are a number of buttons on the side to choose from, and we'll look at those briefly. Also, at the bottom of the page, there's click here to join the adventure. That will take you to this Florida Stories button. And Florida Stories are set up as a very easy, enticing, and we hope captivating way for people to initially navigate through the site. As Joe was mentioning, we've selected some stories of Central Florida history. And there what you'll find are dreams and schemes, roads, rivers, and rails, and critters, crackers, and cottages. Under each of these, you'll have several storylines. Dreams and schemes is why they came to Central Florida. And you'll find citrus, tourism, and health attracted them here. Under Roads, Rivers, and Rails, you'll find out how they came to Central Florida, and it's pretty obvious by railroad, water, and roads. And under Critters, Crackers, and Cottages, what was daily life like in Central Florida? And we have storylines on the nature, social life, people, and places of Central Florida for you to explore. Each of these storylines offers a path into the website with several features. For instance, on Dreams and Schemes, Citrus, the buttons from the home page will be at the top of each screen, so you could always navigate through the site that way. All of these links, Dreams and Schemes, will take you back to that story, are live, and they'll take you through the site. Also, forward and back buttons on each one. Each story will have a selected photograph from the collection, a narrative that we've written about that particular subject matter, as well as quotations from some of the documents that have been digitized. So you get an initial taste of what is in store for you. If this attracts your attention and you want to see more, each of these photographs also is a link to the collection. And if you clicked on there, it would take you to the fuller context of that particular image in the collection. And you can scroll down and see a description of this. As Joe mentioned, part of this project is cataloging all of these images and documents, and there's a number of ways in which they've been cataloged to give you more information about that particular item, the year, what type of thing it is, what subject it covers, and all of these also are live links. So if you're particularly interested in one of these, such as Citrus, you can click on that, and it launches a subject search of that particular subject throughout the site, giving you the results. And here we have 43 matching items. The initial 6 are shown here in thumbnails. Each of those could be clicked on to see them better, or go through the different pages of that subject to explore it further. Another example, under social life, we have some selections from the letters, such as this one. Now about the expenses, etc. That seems to be troubling my love's mind. Just rest easy. I have made the calculations all along and would not have proposed building now if it was not safe. I am sorry I wrote you that despondent letter, for I was only temporarily so and had not enough data of the business in my mind. In a word, it's all right now. The $5,000 I put aside last summer for your house and its furniture. Wouldn't that be nice? $5,000 for a house and its furniture. And this continued on the next page, where we also have a quotation from Helen Warner, who writes, "The butcher comes 4 times a week, and the iceman 3 times, and in 10 days we are to have fresh milk every day, so no one can rough it in Narcoossee any longer." Such advancements. Again, you can click on the picture to see a fuller context of that item, and you'll see there's more to that picture to explore. Again, there will be a description of this particular item in the collection if you scroll down. And again, you can click on the subject matter or any of those live links to explore that part of this website. If we click on furniture, for instance, we get 3 matching results, several different pictures. Again, you can enlarge those, read the descriptions, and get more on that particular type of subject. On our tourism pages, you'll see very early on there was driving on Daytona Beach. Look at those cars. Of course, we have to have something about hotels in Central Florida. And in this, from the travel diary, I arrived in this city about 9 a.m. and rented a room for $2.50 per week. I take meals at restaurants. We obtained lodgings at a restaurant, paying for a bedroom and parlor well furnished to fire 75 cents for the night, 37.5 cents each, and 25 cents per meal. Browsing through railroads, you'll see maps of the railroad system in Florida, even sample tickets, such as this one for a first-class passage from Palatka to Silver Springs. And you can read about the colorful people of Central Florida, such as this excerpt from a letter. Fancy a Miss Ward, who was coming out to her brother in Kissimmee from England, met a fellow on the steamer and was engaged before she arrived at New York, although she had never seen the man before she left Liverpool. They are all at the Tropical at present, waiting to hear from the girl's mother. Then they are to be married as soon as possible and go to the man's ranch in Texas. Did you ever hear of such a rash match in your life? She was staying with me for 2 days last week and seemed very nice, and she is certainly pretty. Poor girl. I am sorry for her, as they say her intended is rather too fond of the glass. So that's a sample how you can browse through the stories and follow the stories, see some of the quotations, and hopefully be enticed to explore the site further. If we go back to the home page, as Joe mentioned, we're really interested in building an educational element here and attracting teachers, and we have a website, a button for teachers right there. Of course, everyone's welcome to explore there and use the materials that are there, but we really want to have a lot of interaction and cooperation with the teachers of Central Florida. And you'll see several things there, adorable young students. Lesson plans, activities, and links for teachers. We saw the Freeze lesson plan earlier for 4th and 5th grade. There's also one on there for 6th to 8th grade on life as an early orange grower, get some ideas of what to do, how to use the site, how to use the resources here, how to cite resources and things like that. And activities such as this one where the class as a group would use this site and other resources to publish their own community newspaper reflecting the events of the time. So we're strongly going to be working on this education element as we continue to develop the site. Also back at the home page, another option for you is to click on Collection and go right to the materials in the different collections that we've digitized. So let's look at that for a moment. When you first go there, you'll see all 3 institutions there, and each of those is a link to the materials that have been digitized from those collections. Also, there is, once we go to one of those, you'll see several features there. Thumbnails of each item that has been digitized. This is Orange County Library System. Only 6 items, but there's hundreds of pages because there's 3 city directories on here. There's also a search button you can use, and I'll show you that in a moment. Or you can just click on one of the items to browse through that particular item, such as this souvenir of Orlando. Each time you do that, one of the features will be a list of all the pages of that particular item. Each of those is a link that you can move to those pages in that item. There also is a search box just for that particular document. So if you wanted to see, let me try some search terms for that document, you could use that. Or another example is this collection of indelible photographs of Orlando from 1890. Some of those that we saw earlier. And again, you could go page by page through this, see things such as this, more houses, our adorable kittens, and our attractive jail. Or here even a picture of the students in the colored school of the time, which would be important for African American research, a church, and a railroad. If we go back to the collections and look to see what is there from the Regional History Center, again, you'll get the thumbnails, and there they've digitized 38 of their items. Again, it's going to be hundreds of pages because of the length of some of these. And you can choose a particular item and see what's there, go page by page through that. This is a winter playground of the nation, beautiful Florida, a little bit scenic guide, some discussion there, and the original context for that picture we saw earlier under stories of the cars on Daytona Beach. Or you can select search. So you can search this site once you're within the collections, and let's just look at a sample of that. If you choose that, a search screen will open with a number of fields where you can type in your search term, some drop-down menus, or you can use browse terms over here to drop down and choose some terms that are already selected for you if you're not sure what you might want to search by. Drop-down menus will give you a variety of different fields that we've categorized that you could choose to search. I've done a sample search here on a storyline, citrus, to see what showed up. And on this particular type of search, you'll get total results at the bottom, 41 matches, but only 4 show up on the first page. You're going, what am I going to do to see the other 41? We have backward and forward buttons, so you can see the next 4 images and go until you've seen all 41. Each of these you could click on to see a bigger context of what that picture looks like. So that's another way you can navigate. We've seen mostly images of pictures in that, but you probably also want to look at some text documents, such as those letters. If we look at those ACPAN papers, which is Arthur Smith's letters, here's how it will initially open up with the very first letter. And over here on the left, you'll see the dates of the letter and how each letter on the handwritten page is multiple pages. And so you can click on those and go page by page through those. Another feature, if you scroll to the bottom of the screen, one of the options you have is show image and page text side by side. And this is a very interesting feature, this software that we're going to be developing further. If you click on that, what you get are two screens. And the one will be the original document. On the other is where we can put in a transcript. So on those letters where the writing on the other side is bled through so badly that you really can't read either side, we'll be putting transcripts over here so that undecipherable writing will be easy to read and figure out what it says. Also, this can be dragged aside so you can see the entire text of that letter if you like. One page at a time. And if we look at the University of Central Florida Libraries collection, you'll find 22 items, again, hundreds of pages, depending on the length of these different things, including our travel diary of the young man that we saw. Again, multiple pages that you can go through, and if we enlarge that page, you'll see he's actually started his travels in Jacksonville, Florida, and continued on down here through Central Florida over to the coast. And remember those leaves that were pressed in here, and we digitized those? He was also very fond of drawing what he saw. So you can see a small palm and drawings of what's called Spanish needles or bear grass. Or perhaps you were curious about what we told you about at the very beginning, that alligator hunter in the making story. Click on that to see not only a very entertaining and interesting story, but photographs with captions such as this one. As a candle to a moth, so is a jack-lantern to an alligator. It irresistibly beckons him to his destruction. Or this handsome fellow who's getting a lesson in posing. So there's a taste of the images and documents available on Central Florida Memory that we've chosen to digitize so far, and also a sample of several different methods you can use to navigate the site. Today is just the beginning of your opportunity to join this adventure. We hope that being here today will begin that for you, but also that you will go to the website, you will use it, you will explore it, you will visit it often and see what's new, what we've added to it as time goes on. Also on the home page, there's a button that says Share a Comment. So you can click there, and another page opens up where you can submit your own information and share comments with us about this website or your own experience of Central Florida history, whatever you choose. Also today, there's some cards in the back that we hope you will take or stop today for a moment and share your comments with us today. But please do pick some up as you leave if you haven't already, and let us know what you think. Help us out. And we're really hoping this will be a very interactive, cooperative project as we continue. And these are several ways you can participate. Also, we're already starting to formulate what we're going to do next. What we've done so far is the 1880s to 1920s. The next phase is going to cover the 1920s to 1950s. And our general storyline is going to be boom or bust. Because there's an ongoing success and depression and success again after the war. So what was life like on the home front during both World Wars? What was happening in the 1920s with the boom of real estate? What was happening here in response to the depression? What was happening here in response to World War II is what we're pursuing for the next phase. So we've only begun, as we said, and we really want your participation. There will be events that you'll be invited to come and share your own documents and things like that. And for more on the future, let me introduce Meg Scharf from University of Central Florida Libraries. Thank you.
Up to this point, our presentation has been concerned with the past, but now it's time to turn our attention to the future of Central Florida Memory. At present, over 2,000 images have been made available on our website from the three partnering institutions, the Orange County Library System, the Orange County Regional History Center, and the University of Central Florida Libraries. The pilot project, which has lasted a year now, was meant to answer certain questions. Can we bring history to life by digitizing our materials? I think you can see the answer to that from what we just saw. Can we make them easy to find? How can we organize them? What is our plan? And finally, can we work well together? Well, we have, and you can see from this presentation that I think we answered all those questions positively. We have organized this so that it is easy to find materials. And we found that the three of us worked very well together, and that the synergy that is created by this project has resulted in a very exciting project. Our plan is to expand this project, as Greg mentioned, which makes today actually the beginning of our next phase rather than an ending of any sort. We found that the selection of materials, preparing the items, scanning, writing, editing the stories, preparing exercises for students, and designing these web pages is a process that is very exciting to us, but might seem rather time-consuming to everyone else. The next phase of our project includes the addition of 40,000 images. They will be added to the time period and stories that are currently on the web, and also will result in the composition of more storylines, as you saw in the last slide, and take Central Florida memory up through the 50s. We can continue to move Central Florida memory forward at the current pace. However, now that we've seen the results of the pilot, we would like very much to accelerate that pace, and are seeking to do so by seeking outside funding for our project. We currently have applied for a Library Services and Technology Act grant, and we will know the results of our application in July. During the next year, we will consider other ways to expand Central Florida memory. Several events, a number of events, will be held during the coming year to let the community know that we can scan their items from personal collections and make them part of our site to share with the community. We will continue to build awareness of our project, and we will invite and include other institutions to participate by contributing documents, stories, and links. We want to continue our involvement with the schools, and we want to keep moving forward the agenda of continuing education for all citizens of Central Florida. All the participating institutions, Orange County Public Library, the Orange County Regional History Center, and the University of Central Florida Libraries, are thrilled by the success of the pilot, and we are also thrilled by your support. A number of you here today wrote support letters for our grant, and we are truly grateful for that. We will be asking you for even more support as the project goes on. First of all, to help us spread the word about this project, and second, to share your memories with us for inclusion in the project. Remember the saying, those who do not learn from the past are doomed to repeat it? Well, we would like to remind you that this was once called, Orange County was once called Mosquito County. We would not like to return to that. We don't want to return to our past in some ways. So we invite you to learn more about it through Central Florida Memory.